What's next for Zand Bank?
Go beyond the banking as well.
Go. What's next for the industry?
Massive adoptions.
The last one, to think about it, what's next for humanity?
Beautiful world.
Well, definitely the only one in the UAE, which is fintech focused. You used the word AI powered a lot, I noticed in your marketing. Can you tell us more about what that means?
Is how we can do 50 seconds onboarding, including due diligence, enhanced due diligence, registration checkings, and then risk profiling, and one-stop shop in 50 seconds.
Is it hundreds or thousands still, or you?
The growth rates per day, the new wallets, we're talking about thousands plus.
Wow, that's insane. Welcome to The Next. This is Ahmed Ismail, your host today. And today I have a very special guest, Michael Chan, CEO of the infamous Zand Bank.
Well, thank you for having me, Ahmed. It's great actually to be here today.
Great. Michael, so for people who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself properly? You'll do a better job than me.
Sure. I'm Indonesian Chinese, but I've been spending time in different places like Indonesia, Hong Kong, China, Australia, and here and there. I grew up with a family that my father actually warned the kids actually not working for the others. At the very beginning, that when after graduating universities, and then I was supposed 24 hours job a day. At the night, you need securities. In the morning, actually, you need accountings. In the middle, you need to do the chemistry, engineering. So there, I grew with an environment that is always pressing you. At the same time, you force you to be the entrepreneur. That's the environment I grew from.
Great. So why don't you tell us about your journey to become the CEO of Zand Bank? How did your career progress? You said you started from an entrepreneurial family in Australia, right?
Well, my father used actually to run a multiple business, and then they have factories in Hong Kong, in Indonesia, and also in China. So he been traveling around. So the time actually I started with the journeys with my father was in Hong Kong, and also in a place called Dongguan, which is in the China South.
Right.
That's how we start actually with the journeys at the family level. And then of course, after the 3 months, and then you realize that actually working with father is not a fun thing. And then I decided actually to move on to the different place. I start from technology, and then I more work on the global market side, the high frequency trading, stock pool tradings, equity side, and also the global markets, electronic trading at that time. Moving on, you progress actually your careers, and then, I was in the French bank. They give me very good career path. Very shortly, I become actually kind of a Asia Pac Chief Information Officers, where actually in charge the tech not only on the Asia Pac, but you also have some responsibility on global market globally. That time actually I travel quite a bit. So it's something like 70% is always on the Skype in the different continents, and that bring me also to meet my wife, and how we marry now. After that, I didn't give up the banking, but I progressed to be the management. So I was in Taiwan at one point times with a French company to be the deputy CEO/COO, managing many things. And afterwards, I was supposed to Singapore, and then to be the deputy CEO/COO for the Southeast Asian as well. And subsequently, actually, I moved to FAB, which is the first Abu Dhabi bank, yes. And then I was based in Singapore as well, with the capacities of the COO. And then, by chance, actually, this site, I know more during the time for the FAB, despite I was in the Singapore, because I need to travel every 2 or 3 months to the UAE. So after you have certain understanding of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and then you realize that actually this is a booming city, but it's not like a desert, then you have the comfort to move ahead. One day, actually, suddenly I have a cold call, from Zand, which I have no idea what the bank is. And then, they said, okay, why don't you just try coming over to run a digital retail bank? I said, I appreciate actually the opportunity to be the digital retail bank CEO in here, but at the same time, I have a little belief actually on a digital retail bank. So why don't we do some niche areas? So for example, like crypto. So for example, what if to do the digital corporate bank? So that's how I started the journey, and I'm here now 3 years.
So that was 2022, right?
Yeah. So I joined November 2022. Yeah.
Right. And before that, I think Zand Bank, maybe give us a brief history. Was it the old Dubai bank?
Yeah, absolutely right. It was acquired by actually Zand from the EMBD Dubai Bank license.
Yes.
And then transformed the Dubai Bank to be today's Zand Bank.
Which is an AI fintech It's probably one of the only in the world, or definitely the only one in the UAE, which is fintech focused. You used the word AI powered a lot. I noticed in your marketing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about what that means?
All right. We are not only using AI. So we basically trying to propose a product to the market like AI as an agent. When you have an AI as an agent, you not necessarily actually contain yourself within the finance world. So for example, now we are pitching some smart city projects, which is beyond the banking. But of course, we will cross out with the banking product at the same time. For example, we have our own GPU. And then we are not using only, the QWang from Alibaba, OpenAI actually from Azure, and also Claude. We have a refined large language model, which is a layer actually about the large language model. We have a non-commercialized product today, which is actually like the HR agent, compliance agent, virtual RM agents. And then I demonstrate actually in the World AI Summit back to August in Shanghai, is how we can do 50 seconds onboarding, including due diligence, enhanced due diligence, registration checkings, and then risk profiling, and one-stop shop in 50 seconds.
Amazing.
So you will see very soon in the markets.
So that will be the whole sort of onboarding journey is going to take a few seconds.
For the corporates.
Yes, exactly. Which is one of the big things I think that has stopped, or everyone complains about traditional banks. I'd say traditional banks here in the UAE are probably much more advanced than, say, somewhere in the US, definitely in the UK, definitely in Europe, right? And the way you're doing it is that you're going that bit further. You're fully licensed by the central bank, which is very cool. And AI, you're saying, will it take over? Like, how will it shape the future of Zand?
If we take it from different perspectives, right? From the banking world, the very common use cases like fraud detection, transaction monitoring, OCR. So these are the common use case in the banking world. In the crypto world, we know 80% are the bot trading, which is right now leveraging, the AI capability.
Yeah.
I think the question itself, the chain on the banking is not one single force by the AI, but also actually come from centralized become decentralized. I think it's a very powerful play when the AI marry with the blockchain, and then you apply in the decentralized networks. I think that will be the trends in the future. What's
going to be decentralized exactly? You're saying finance, or you're saying your operations?
I think all the products, for example, right? When we talk about tokenized investment products, we're talking about, even actually money market fund today, we listed actually in the centralized exchange. Right. Okay. Tomorrow, actually that because of the adoptions on recognition as a token in terms of the market adoption and also the regulation adoptions, that would be the big trends because you open the door to many unreached areas. That's one. Right. Two is that because when you apply to the decentralized environment, actually your risk in regulation will be higher. So that's why actually the AI would take a big role to make sure that, there's no fraud case and then, you are quick enough to do the, transactions screening, KYT, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one of the most interesting things for me about seeing Zand in the marketplace, and not just in the marketplace like a neobank, but much more advanced, I think is the fact that you have a Fitch rating, which was announced recently.
Yeah.
And it shows real creditworthiness. It also does something very interesting for me. I mean, you're talking about AI, you're talking about decentralization, tokenization, which is kind of new world stuff. But also, you are well entrenched in the old world. And I think that, for me, is the key thing for adoption. That is the gateway for adoption for virtual assets. So how do you think about that?
It's a very good question. If you look at actually the mission statement we put in the website for the Zand, is that we said we are bridging a TradeFi and a DeFi because we have a strong belief that it's emerging right now. You will soon very see from Zand probably in a few weeks' time, and then we promote actually a program is called One Bank, Two Worlds. What is the one bank to works is that actually when you open a corporate accounts with the bank, by default, actually you have a digital asset wallet. So that means actually we cater the need in case of you want to accept some payments for some business reason. And then you already say that, okay, well, this is my fiat account number and this is my wallet address.
Right.
So this is a real bridge between the two. Now, if we jump again a bit actually to see what happened in the US, for example, right? BNY Mellon is very famous, one of the largest custodians,
yeah.
But maybe not be so aware actually by the people that in fact BNY Mellon today is already having 80% of digital asset custodian for the whole US.
Yeah.
So you can see that bank is always play a role to be trust. And that's why credit rating is important to the bank, because I need to wear the hat with the bankers. On the other hand, actually that I custody you the cash, but I play the same role to custody also the digital assets, right? So I think this will be the main trends, and that's also serve actually the mission statement. That's what Zand is doing, is bridging the TradFi and DeFi.
It's bridging TradFi and DeFi, and that's and a lot of, I think one of the things that I'm in the virtual asset business, but I also come from a world that's very skeptical, and I think one of we see the UAE right now as being the global hub for virtual assets. I mean, 5-10 years ago, it was just nascent. It was a competitor. It was emerging. Now there are several different regulators in the UAE, all regulating virtual assets, digital assets, and even potentially, you could argue that the DIFC is going to be regulating AI as well. With all of that, this serves as a sort of infrastructure, regulatory infrastructure. I would also see that adoption for virtual assets. How do you see it right now? I mean, you're the CEO of the one of the biggest players and newest players, well, definitely the biggest player in virtual assets banking. Do you see that a lot of the digital assets that are held and adopted are still people? Is there any real adoption? Because where is it coming from?
We are enabling crypto companies and on that banking rail. From the volume perspective, we can see the real growth compared to 1 year ago. Second, actually, the client for the crypto company no longer just a retail institution, and even actually the corporate actually start stepping into these areas. We see also from asset managers and also the family office, they try to hold also at least BTC and ETH, to be part of their investments. So we also see actually per wallet size actually is much bigger. And then from the previous something like, thousands. And right now we're talking about a few hundred thousands. So we really see actually the people adopt and also more believe. Now, in terms of the number of the investors, because we are serving actually the crypto companies, I mean the client money accounts, so we can count the number of the accounts, right? The account growth is massive. We're talking about like compare a year ago, probably the jump is more than few thousand %.
Few thousand %, yes. As in number of wallets or volumes?
Number of wallets.
What about volumes?
The absolute volume and also the average also increased quite a lot compared to 1 year ago.
Is it hundreds or thousands still, or you?
The growth rates per day, the new wallets, we are talking about thousands plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
Yeah. But do you feel the effects of, obviously crypto has had a lot of ups and downs. You had the whole FTX saga. Then you had as they call the crypto winter. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Especially the sort of more frontier type investors, we call them crypto degens or whatever. They lost a lot of money. Where do you see the lessons learned? Do you see that people have forgotten those lessons, or do you see that how has the market adopted so that, something like FTX, people scared the hell out of a lot of people, right? Where did that lesson? How did that lesson affect the market? And do you see that your customers, your clients have moved on from FTX?
The market has been improved a lot by, number one, the investor awareness. Number two, the regulators have more stringent regulations. Number three, actually, that's the risk appetite for the people actually also trying to lower in case of you are playing the double role. While your exchange is the same time you're custodian, and then people say, hey, hang on, I would like to use my self-custodial wallet itself. I actually custody my key with you. So I think there are many parts actually has been way more improved compared to a few years back. Regulation-wise, I think many countries also think that the custodian should be the role for the bank instead of the role for the VAS. I think this is happening as well in many countries, including Singapore, Japan. I feel that actually UAE is for the same. That's also one of the reasons actually why Zand actually insists very much to have their own digital asset custodian, which is serving our corporate clients.
With VARA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how do you see the interplay between VARA and the central bank playing out? I mean, the fact that we're having this conversation is amazing, I think, because if you compare, I always diss and say bad things about like the UK and the EU being very old and trying to retrofit crypto regulation into something that's TradFi. But I feel that the UAE is also trying to do the opposite, being very nimble and moving quickly. Where do you see the interplay between all the different regulators, such as CBUAE, VARA, and how does that all fit into the Zand story?
The bank is under the supervisions of the bank. But the bank, when we choose the role of, not only the TradFi, we are, of course, we need to under supervision of the VARA because we have the bank in Dubai. If I compare 2 years ago, when we were the first one talk about trying to apply the dirham stablecoin 2 years ago. When it's 2 years ago, actually, we talk about, we be the banks, to do custodian. And the headwind actually is quite strong because that they will say why bank is doing the non-bank things. But the maturity, we can see actually VARA not just going one way, but they are trying to be on hand in hand to adopt the bank to be able to follow their regulation. I'm saying that because of VARA regulation is set for non-bank, because most of the players actually are not bank.
Yeah.
Now, we were the first one actually say that, what if we are the bank, we try to do the same? So that's why they try to adopt very much, that what should be the revision on the regulation in order to adopt the institutional players. At the same time, central bank actually also learning, quite a lot on the fintech side and also the virtual asset side. They have the fintech departments. They have a self-education within the different pillars and what should be the adoption, what should be market practice international for the virtual assets. I feel that actually they both actually become more mature, become more synchronized. At the same time, actually, that I think I will not be so surprised that, more and more collaboration together with the central bank and the VARA and the ISCA together.
Right, right. In what fields do you see other banks learning from you and trying to, because what you've done as create Zand Bank is unprecedented globally, right? It's pretty much the only real bank in the world at the moment that is, properly marries TradFi with DeFi, right? How do you see other banks catching up? And do you see them as a threat? And, obviously you want to grow as quickly as possible and create that moat, but how quickly will that moat disappear and how will it change?
For all the bankings, in the today and even the old day, actually we compete the same product. But provided that, what is the competitive advantage of A bank and B bank where they provide the same product to the same client? The journey for the Zand Bank is that actually we always ask ourselves, the first thing is that why bank to Zand? So that's how come to the ideas, what is missing in the nations. At the second phase, when the banking is become more mature and more open actually on digital asset side, and then you cannot prevent actually you have competitors coming. And I think this is a healthy competitions. When you have more competitors, actually you will make yourself the regulation more complete, right? The same time, actually, you will even actually fine tune the pricing. That means actually the pricing to the end customer will be more cheaper, right? And then more accessible. I think we do need actually the other players come in order to make actually UAE be the real crypto hub, for the world.
Yeah. Okay. And where do you see those other competitors coming from? Do you see a lot of international banks coming in and trying to do the same, or do you see the local players trying to do that? Where do you see the movement coming from your competitors?
We have friends, but we don't have competitors, right? So we can always work together. I mean, there's no such thing you dominate the markets. I mean, you always need actually your partners to improve yourself in certain areas. I think conventional bank, big bank, to their point of view, actually the revenue perspective on the crypto is too small for them, right? But the potential risk on the dollar clearing imposed by the US sanction risk can be high as well. So it's not just the bank saying that I want to do that. It's not only the technology, it's not only actually the the commitment for the bank, but also that would the bank actually calculate what is the worst scenario in case actually you have something wrong, whether you got sanctioned by the US. At the end, I think it's a risk appetite statement for the bank, whether they want to do it or not. I do believe actually the big bank will follow, like in the US. But that would take quite some time because you are rewriting your whole book. It's not like, I extend one product. The thing we are doing in the Zand is not simply say enable another loan or enable deposit. You need a lot of things happen in the back. Number one, actually, your board need to support your visions. Number two, your risk appetite statement can really do the things. Number three, you know the pain point for the market and also regulators. Number four, the technology actually you can catch up as well. Because now you're not competing with the bank, you're competing with the VAS. And the technology the VAS is talking about, very quick, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And in terms of the pipeline for, say, the next 2 to 3 years for Zand, you've mentioned how wallet growth, you've now gone into the black, right, from a bank, and you're profitable. You have a Fitch rating. Sorry, is it Fitch?
It's Fitch, yeah.
Yeah, Fitch rating now. Yeah. What's the next growth trajectory? Is it more like a hockey stick, or is it more stable? And then what lines of business do you see Zand going down and exploiting?
Very good questions. We launched on the 29th August the Zand Pay. Zand Pay actually is a payment solution. It's like a POS machine, in a merchant that you can spend. But we have a better visions, just beyond the Zand Pay. We're trying to also accept, the crypto payments acceptance in these POS machines. At the same time, actually, we have, global markets, tradings, new activities coming in. We have also the wealth management and also asset management. We also have coming the SME strategy as well. So I think the bank right now will be more complete rather than just a corporate banking and also digital asset. We will expand more, no matter from buy side and also the sell side.
Right. And on the corporate banking side, for instance, I mean, you're an ex-corporate banker, right? Where do you see Zand excelling in a place like a French bank, and we won't name them, that you used to work at, not excelling because of the fact that you are more crypto enabled, you are fintech first?
We try to put perspective, right? So imagine if Zand actually want to be in the space of the trade finance, and then how we can actually compete compared to the others is that we were trying to leverage, the digital assets capability. So for example, we are issuing the dirham stablecoins,
right,
and then we definitely will use the programmability. You can imagine actually the escrow condition would be released by the token itself. So that means actually not only paperless, but also it's very efficient. And then the settlement will be deep as zero. So that's the way actually we complete. I think the corporate banking, that will be the mixtures of the digital assets, programmability, AI, and also the conventional banking. That's how we compete, and that's how we actually differentiate ourselves, even the same product.
How will conventional lending change as a result of crypto?
In the banking world, and when you have a loan, corporate bankers are very good on, participate in the primary market syndications, and then they sell down to the secondary market. So you can imagine, even though the bilateral loan, we could actually tokenize the debts, and then we can actually sell to, the wealth clients. In that case, you can enhance them, the return yield by, it's kind of, in the old day, we call it security linked deposit. Yeah. But in that case, actually the security referring to the tokenized debt, right? By that, actually, you have more offering to your clients.
So this is the problem though. If you tokenize, say, a bond, say, I don't know, just for example, DP World offers a bond, right? DP World is a shipping company or a ports company. One of the largest ones in Dubai. They offer a bond, which they often do, and they tokenize a tranche of that bond. What benefits will the ultimate holder of that bond have versus just owning the paper? Like, what does tokenization do? Because this is key to your story as well, right?
There are many benefits. Number one, presuming that actually there is the market makers can do the liquidity parts well, right? That means the bond actually can buy sell in 7 times 24. That's number one.
Right.
Number two is that actually many of the corporate action can be automated because it's programmability of the tokens, right? Number three is that actually you attract, you lower your tickets, actually the many people can buy it. So for example, like a DP World, one tranche minimum lot is $1 million, for example, right? So I can cut it down to, let's say, even 10 dirham. So you attract more players. The player actually may look for the yield. The player may look for actually diversification of portfolio. So you will attract actually more liquidity just because you lower the bar.
Will that bring in more sort of B2C distributors of tokenization of real world assets? I mean, how would it change the world?
It's like in the supermarkets that in the old day you can buy only the veggie and the meats, and today you have more goods. It's the same that you put more things in the marketplace where the people have more choice. I think tokenization is not about the technology, it's not about the regulation, it's more about actually more offering you put in the supermarket.
I see. And do you see that regulation is ready now? The reason I'm asking is obviously you're brand new in the market. You've been here for 3 years. Not you personally. Well, you personally, yes, but Zand has. But there must be some pain points as you go through this journey. What is the biggest pain point that you have at the moment?
Are you referring to the tokenization, or are you referring to in general?
In general.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's start with tokenization.
Yeah.
Let's start with tokenization because the general one we can deal with at the end. It's like a therapy session.
Sure, right? Why don't we start from property tokenizations, right? So we participate, first batch of pilots with, control alternate and also the Preco. We tokenize, Zand actually played the role as a banking role, right? Control alternate actually played the role of tokenizations. And then they're using Ripple to do a custodian and also using XRP for the chain. Now, Preco is doing to source actually the property and also to do distribution platform. Now, that program actually lasts 12 months, right? The sales is amazing. Yeah. The best sell actually is 1 minute 53 seconds, 2,000 tokens sold, for 1 unit, so of a value of 2.3 million.
Right.
Subsequently, actually, there are many, so it's very quick speed. The lower one actually will be 1 minute 56 seconds. You can see it's quite consistent. There are many tractions in the market. It proved, despite it's less than 50 property in the market, but it will test out actually many things. Number one, if the regulators are comfortable that for the end-to-end process. Number two, if the investors is comfortable even just buy from primary market.
Right.
If the property developers is actually comfortable, but because you have to pay also the cost on tokenization, distributions. In return, actually, you save the money from tax 2%, but also the middleman from the brokers. So I think this is a testing on end-to-end because you have many different participants. Now, for each participant, they have their own pain point, right? From the property developers, they will say, hey, you know what? I tokenize, maybe have more buyer. Now they're testing. From tokenizing point of view, I issue, then I try to apply the token issue license. Are we sure that actually we are safe in front of regulators? Now they put a pause as well. To the DLD, which is also take a pause. It looked like a good ideas before we expand. Let's take a pause to see end to end also whether it's good or not. I think this proof is worked very well. So that's why actually many companies come to Zand to say that, hey, can you do the same program, for us, which is a different developers. We see very strong pipeline coming to us. And then of course, we will actually work with the partners. Now, moving aside from property, right? We need to understand one thing is that it doesn't mean anything that you tokenize everything. What exactly the market demand, right?
Yeah.
So if you think in two perspectives, the best example I can give you is that actually I don't name actually the painters. There's a one priceless art piece. Yeah. Where they actually put in options in London, where the price cannot be priced correctly because it's a masterpiece. And it was fight actually between the family member because actually the painters passed away. Yeah. You can imagine actually because of the inheritance fight. Yeah. Where one piece of art you cannot cut, 3 pieces. Yeah. So you tokenize it. You only way to tokenize it. But on the other hand, that you appreciate, right? So basically you can imagine it's like a redemption bond. Right. Right. So I put my art actually, in a temporary ownership to you, where actually I have the right to buy back. So it becomes structure rather than just a vanilla token. Right? Yes. We see a lot of evolutions, and there's a reason why you tokenize. we think that actually the most tokenized asset would be populous this day will be 3 different class. Number 1 is a gold. Number 2
Gold.
actually is a property. And number 3 is a debt, which you can say also the money market fund as well.
Debt as in public debt?
Yes.
Or private debt or both?
Private debts in the public debt as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about sort of on the topic of capital markets, equities? Where do you see generally, like right now, both you and I come from this world. There were banks, investment banks that used to run IPOs, right? Public debt offerings. The JP Morgans of the world, the Bank of Americas of the world. How will tokenization disrupt, and how will the presence of someone like Zand disrupt how they do business and their business model? Because, tokenization of, we mentioned the DP World offering. How do you envision it?
That may be 2 track, I think. The first track is that for those actually not qualified to the main board in the major exchanges, where the purpose is to raise a capital, they will choose a separate route. And this route probably will be the IPO equivalent actually on the decentralized exchange way. We see a lot of projects, right? We call it project, but we don't call it IPO. It's the same purpose. And in the old day, actually, we call it ICO. I think when the regulation is more mature, and then that will be clear to stream that small player probably before they groove, before they prove totally the concept, but they have an issue on the credit line with the bank, but at the same time, actually, they want to attract, the public investors. They may go for the route for this kind of, project routes in the decentralized. After getting mature, they will go back to the main boards, right? So I think that will be one trend. The second trend is that actually for the corporate, they may think twice in terms of cost perspective, in terms of liquidity perspective, whether actually it makes sense to go to the main exchanges and then, to list my IPO, but at the same time, I tokenize my stock. Or I should just tokenize stock rather than I go to the IPO. Why? Because you think about it, if you are being listed company, it's very pain. Under regulation, so many reporting, and then everybody watch at your result and all that, right? But if you go to tokenize, actually, maybe before the market become less mature, the people has less question asked, despite you're still regulated. So that's why I think depends on actually what type of company, maturity of the company, and the purpose for the company. That would definitely 2 routes. One route is a normal IPO route, and the other one actually is the project route in DeFi.
Right. So project route meaning utility tokens. So that's the new thing.
Yeah.
But with IPOs, it's security, right? Because I guess shares are equivalent to security tokens. If you are a banker at, say, one of the big bulge bracket banks, right, that does capital markets, should you be worried for your job?
I think we should enhance our knowledge rather than we worry the job, right? So it's the same like the AI, right? So the people said, okay, well, how many people being replaced by the AI?
Yeah.
Right. But I think this is a good reason actually you have to upgrade your skill and how you make a better use of AI, right? How to make the AI to make your brand value, to make your value higher than before. I think the same actually for the for this aspect. When you have different tracks, different methods for the fundraising, and then I think the bankers always follow the money. So, I mean, they will find a way.
They'll find a way, wouldn't they, to find a new job? So do you see, like as a CEO of a bank, you've seen obviously how to run a bank in the TradFi world versus where you are today, which is a completely different company, very well capitalized, regulated, Fitch rating, etc. Obviously there's a difference in culture that you see between the old TradFi world and where you are today. How would you compare the two cultures, let's say at Zand versus your sort of at a bulge bracket bank or a French bank or something?
It's very different. I think it's different not only because of the French bank. I think in general, so let's say we have conventional banking and let's say the new type of banking. Conventional banking, it works because of they create a system and then it able to scale quickly, right? It scale quickly in the way that, so for example, I have more business and then I can scale my system, I can scale my people, I can scale actually my appetite as well. Now, in the new track will be different because in the new track, actually, you're talking about the evolutions of the different product that can be generated like in the same day. You can have more product in the next day. We go to that stage of the Zen. Actually, we run the bank in a very different way compared to the conventional banking. We first set up a boring banker camp, And also the digital asset team were actually with the first condition, they never work in the bank.
Right.
We understand that actually the two camp actually cannot emerge easily, but at least, we show to the client that actually, we are able to speak actually a digital asset language. At the same time, you have a trust from the bank, right? Now we see that's emerging in a way that, for those younger fellow in the digital asset camp, say that, hey, but it's why I need to learn about banking. And by itself, actually, they learn about more actually what the regulation is and then what the conventional banking is. The same time, actually, the O camp, which is the banking camp, has a lot of requests from the corporate. They are forced to learn that what's exactly the different products in the digital asset world. And of course, we're talking about not only like the spot market, derivative market of the digital asset, and there are many difficult asks by the clients. How can actually I enhance my yield by 11%, for example, right? So conventional product, can you tell me how? No, there's no way actually lower the risk. Or keep the same risk but higher the yield, right? But in the new world, actually, there are techniques actually you can do that. So that's why they are forced themselves to learn about how to answer the question to the clients.
Yeah, so it must be a real challenge in having that. And where do you see the two different cultures, right? You've got like more of a startup-y tech culture married to old school banking who come into the office with a suit and tie, and then you've got your younger guys coming in t-shirts and jeans, right? How do you control a culture in your organization? Like, how do you merge the two? Does it work, or is there like a unify? Do you have to be very strong as a CEO in doing that? Do you keep a very sort of flat culture? And how do you merge the two, where you have the structures that you need to be a regulated institution with the camp of sort of startup disruption, etc.? How do you marry the two?
Actually, worse than two. We have three camps, and then another camp is the AI camp.
The AI camp.
So the AI camp actually is very different than digital asset camp, and it's very different than the banking camp. The model we are running is we run as, on one hand, is a conventional banking. You can imagine you have a coverage who is managing relationship with the clients who open the door as well.
Yeah.
When you come to specializations, for example, the client has a need on global market, and then they will put a colleague from global market side. Digital asset is kind of product class. So imagine it's like, for example, you come to my bank saying that, hey, can you give me some digital asset product coverage actually with you, relationship built, and then they will pull in a colleague from the digital asset and then, to give the advice. So that's actually the conventional way. Now, the new way is that how can we cross-sell actually the vast client for conventional product, right? Now, because there are many actually of the vast founders, actually, they are very young. They are actually, from the day one, actually, they're talking about it's already in fintech or they are in the vast. The OG start from 2013.
Right.
We talk about Bitcoin mining because of the, the excess of electricities, and then they force them to use in a different way. I think it very well because of when you go to certain size, and then for the vast, they will think about one thing is that how can I diversify my risk? So for example, today there's no reason actually you do off chain.
Yeah.
I put on chain my my stablecoin, the yield generation is way better than my fiat, right? So in that case, why should I actually to put a US dollar, lend US dollars, and then put that collateral for the bank where actually it's just a tiny in terms of collateral value. But at the same time, they said, hey, we have to work on the worst scenario. Now we are big enough, in case one day, right? What are you going to do? I think we are in a very sweet spot that we can actually advise on the both side. And then because of this, the digital asset team is able now pull the old can coming and say, hey, you know what? I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm sure that you can advise them actually how are using the conventional banking tools to help them to diversifications.
So you don't have a problem of people working in silos too much?
No. We force them to sit together as well.
Okay. Going into the market and talking about, some of the interesting developments in the world. We talked about, maybe before the camera was rolling, the Genius Act, right? And how that's going to impact the stablecoin world. At the same time, you have, this is my view, personal view, is that the Genius, obviously not getting into politics, but the Genius Act was probably pushed to push aside any discussion about a US CBDC. Whereas here in the UAE, there's a big push towards the digital dirham, as in the national CBDC. You as a stablecoin issuer, as Zand. Where do you see that there is a conflict between the two? Do you think the two can work together, of having both a CBDC and various stablecoins? I'd like your sort of reaction and views and thoughts.
Very good questions. I mean, it's a common question being asked many times, right? I try to take different perspective first, right? The money movement today is mainly actually based on the business.
Yeah.
Trade flow is a majority flow of the money, which is the reason actually there's one buy side, one sell side. You need to do a settlement. One side need to pay, the other side need to receive the goods. Today on the trade market actually mainly is settled in the US dollars, right?
Right.
Now, when US existing administrations, governments say that I prefer actually, to do more stablecoin, CBDC actually, we can put as the lower priority. That would mean actually US dollars on CBDC will be out of the game of the CBDC.
Yeah.
One of the main objectives, if you compare actually CBDC versus stablecoin, what is the main difference? Is the issues, right? CBDC is an issue by actually the central bank of the country, where actually by default means actually you have no settlement risk because you trust unless the country defaults, right?
Yeah.
Now the stablecoin actually is a private issues, no matter you are bank or non-bank. So you run the different, counterparty risk
profile.
Exactly, versus actually the issue risk perspective.
You're reliant more on the auditors, right? That they're actually they're saying it is 1-to-1. So such as like with USDC and USDT, USDT no one really knows, but USDC we know that it's 1-to-1. Even when the banking crisis in the US happened, USDC was fine.
Yeah.
Would you say stable coins are? You're saying that they're less risk, they're more risky.
I am trying to say, not from the risk perspective, I'm trying to say that you think about actually when the US dollar, which is issued by the US government, and then they said they are not in the CBDC, but the trade still going on every day. That means how you're going to settle with the US dollar. You have only three choices. A, you're using the fiat US dollars.
Yeah.
B, you're using actually US dollar stablecoin.
Yep.
Or C, actually, that you use a non-US dollar stablecoin or the non-US dollar fiat, right?
Right.
Now, the exit or slowdown of CBDC in the US do impact a lot of the project, including Ambridge. Because when we talk about the members of the Ambridge, including the China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and
can you
UAE,
you and I know what Ambridge is, but can you just explain what Ambridge is to the person who?
Sure. Ambridge is, you can imagine, it's an alliance, right? So it's it's like BRICS, if you want, right?
Yeah.
So there's a members who sign in with a club. This club actually that, we agree each other, we recognize each other's in terms of the CBDC, right? So this contain of a few countries in the Ambridge project. Now, the Ambridge project, of course, I mean, what's the main purpose is that to do the cross-border settlements, right? Yeah. When you do cross-border settlements, you can imagine, think about this way, is that if we preventing physical settlement, that means in theory, that should be actually more efficient, right? It should be actually less settlement risk because it's government to the government, right? Now, US going out, but the people still want actually to have efficiency. What remains is not the fiat, it's only the stablecoin. Right? Yeah. So that's why actually that the people actually think about, should we use US dollar stablecoin or should we use a non-US dollar stablecoin? Because the objective didn't change. The objective is how we can make the trade flow more efficient.
Yes.
Right.
Of course.
So in that perspective, I think that stablecoin has a different usage. But I think the stablecoin from the usage going the next maybe 6 to 12 months will be very different compared to the usage yesterday. When stablecoin become the stable currency in the crypto world as the pairing to the asset you want to buy, let's say Bitcoin, right? Yeah. That will be able for us to price again correctly. What is the meaning of BTC against USDT? What's the meaning of Solana against USDT? Because we understand that USDT, for example, is a US dollar 1-to-1. So that's why we can price what exactly the level of USDC. Correct. And also the BTC. Now, tomorrow, if we happen in a trade world, what will happen? The crypto world, we talk about roughly around 5 to 6 trillion market cap. But the FX market, trade market, we talk about hundreds of trillions, right?
More than that.
Exactly. We're talking about per day, right? So what will happen is that, the purpose of stablecoin actually no longer for the purpose of the crypto exchanges as a settlement currency or stable currency. It will be used as a settlement currency on both sides on the trade.
Yes.
Right? So that will change a lot of things. So for example, you are more using a stablecoin as a payment token. You are using more actually as a settlement token actually across the jurisdictions. So that will make a lot of things happening. Number one, you force actually to have the synchronization of the stablecoin regulation are similar. Today, banking world work under the BIS, FATF guideline. We have some standard guideline like Basel, right?
Yeah.
I think what tomorrow will happen is that the stablecoin will have an equivalent guideline and force maybe the same body like BIS, FATF, and all that, right? So when this become a common currencies, and then I think the CBDC will suddenly think again. Should we actually do also part of those, or should we actually do different purpose? I think the CBDC make different when the US in or US out. Now, the CBDC objective from the central bank is very clear. That is for the wholesale or the retail. But I personally think that actually the wholesale environment, actually, you need a counterpart. If your counterpart actually is not in the club,
yes,
that means actually even though you have the CBDC, you cannot serve the purpose of the cross-border settlement. Now, the question is that now, what about the retail CBDC? I think it's a matter of adoptions. To the users, actually, it's quite transparent. To me, I'm a very lazy guy. I never actually put my wallet. I have only my phone.
Yeah.
When you pay, no matter ePay, QR code, whatever, we do everything on the phone. Tomorrow, even the CBDC is the same. You will not know whether it's a fiat, whether it's a card, or whether it's a CBDC. So we will not feel it, right? But when you enter the second stage, is that to use the programmability, that will start changing, right?
How so?
I guess actually the stablecoin issuers will be more and more in the different countries, where actually they will compete not only the transparency and also the proof of reserve, but also to show the features of the stablecoins. So unless the CBDC will be quick enough or the stablecoin will be quick enough to compete each other's, the one actually will adopt will be the one actually have more features.
For someone who doesn't know much about CBDCs or stablecoins, what programmable features of a stablecoin will there be versus settling in dollars?
We can think about this way, right? Today we have the physical cash or we have electronic monies, and you cannot say, hey, if you actually the good is great, and then can you release by yourself, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do that. Programmability actually help them is that you program yourself in the tokens. Can you try to see whether you match conditions? If you match a condition, can you do the following actions? Right. This is a programmability. Now, no matter CBDC or the stablecoin, actually, we talk about is a token, right? What is programmable into a token? You can imagine it's like, I asked my kid to buy a bread, where my kid actually said that, Father, you give me 10 dirham, I'm going to buy 10 dirham. But I said, what if I said, okay, do one thing. If you go to the bakery, if actually 10 dirham can buy 2, you buy 2. If the 10 dirham can buy only 1, you don't buy, right? So you rely very much on the kids, right? Now tomorrow, actually you have 2 options. Either one, actually you can use actually so-called M2M payments, which is machine-to-machine payments, which is depends on the AI adoptions, right? Or B, which is a quick win, is the programmability actually on your coins. I think there will be a lot of the evolutions when there's a massive adoptions, come to the market. So first is that many issuers want to raise a hand, I want to issue stablecoin.
Yeah.
The next phase is that I have feature ABC, you have feature EFG. And then that will be actually to make the world more better.
In the next 2 years, how do you feel that stablecoins will change the market? Like in what specific industries? Everyone talks about payments, right? But payments is a big market, right? It's not just, which flows will stablecoin change in the next 2 years? We know programmability is I think a little bit further down the line, but in the immediate sort of year, 1, 2, 3 years, how will the market change in your view?
The market change quite significant on the cross-border payments and especially on the remittance side. Today, we can go to exchanges. We can actually using the online instructions. I want to send the money home, right?
Right.
But because you go to the fiat rail and then you still cannot prevent go to the SWIFT, right? And then you still cannot prevent, for example, US dollar is a D+2. Tomorrow, because you can do the stable-to-stable corridor, that means a mint and burn on one side, mint and burn on the other side. So that means in theory that can be like in minutes. I think that will big changes. Now, the other big changes is that actually will be benefit to all, is that because of this lower the cost, that means actually overall all the remittance, the cost will be lower by the bank and lower by the exchange house.
So the remittance market here in the UAE, I think, is second in the world after like Mexico. It's crazy.
They are the second largest after the US, I think.
After the US, right?
Yes. Yeah. So exactly, right. So if you look at the demographics of the UAE, 90% are expatriates. And then I send money home. I'm sure that you send money home as well. So today depends on the channel you're using. And then tomorrow you have more choice to compare the pricing, right? For those actually remitters or remitting company or the bank who are using the stablecoin rail or CBDC rail, let's say, right? And then you will find a cheaper price, or you can actually have a faster delivery. So let's say I have some family needs over the weekends, and then today I cannot send, right? Today I can send actually just because maybe some exchange house, they trying to take the position by themselves, means they pay first while they're waiting for the D+2 over delivery. It's not the real settlements. But tomorrow, I think that you really happen, maybe even wallet to wallet. For example, today we have a lot of a scheme between the UAE and also India and also China, right? With the UPI, you have an instant settlements. I think that will happen also in that channels.
And do they use stablecoin rails, or do they use? I mean, most people still weirdly use what is it? What is it called again?
Western Union.
Western Union.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Western Union's huge.
Yeah.
And it charges like 5, 6, 7%.
Yeah.
Stablecoin will completely disrupt that.
Yeah.
But how come it hasn't disrupted it already?
There are a few reasons, right? Number one, you can imagine their counterparty actually A in UAE, there's counterparty B, let's say in Hong Kong. When we're trying to stable remittance, number one, who can do that? The one who can do that actually on-ramp in the UAE is only with a broker-dealer license.
Right.
The one actually off-ramp on the Hong Kong, unless you have a broker-dealer license.
Right.
Now, if we take a look, actually, is there anyone who has a very good coverage where actually they have a both side the license? May not be. Right, so that's one reason. The second reason actually is that whether institution can adopt the stablecoin. If the institution can adopt the stablecoin, where the stablecoin, when in that case the institution on designated country can partners with those licensed broker dealers to do off-ramp when they receive the stablecoin.
Yeah.
So I think the institution adoption can really, accelerate the whole process. Now,
and do you think the institutions, big banks, will ever adopt stablecoin?
We can actually try to think in the way that who are the country trying to push very hard on stablecoin.
Yeah.
Right. Now you will see actually that the Hong Kong right now push very hard, and then even China suddenly said that we should think about the stablecoins. I think those countries who push very hard actually on the stablecoin will have massive adoptions. In that case, the corridor will open.
But you get countries like Egypt, for instance, who are completely anti-crypto, and one of the biggest countries in Africa. You get countries like in the UK, which claim that they're becoming crypto friendly, but actually, in fact, they're about 10 years behind the UAE. How will those countries ever adopt? Is it a case of the governments pushing it and policymakers, or is it a case of the big banks saying, you know what, like JP Morgan, for instance, for Jamie Dimon has very famously said, Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme to basically custody Bitcoin.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is it a case of the big banks pushing it, or is it a case of policymakers and regulators, do you think?
Is the bank making much more money? Why they bother actually to do that in the first place, right? If they can dominate, right?
Exactly.
That's one. But the pressure come from, the markets, right? When there's a market demand, for example, like UAE, right? Most of the people actually, let's say they are not doing online. So let's say they're still going through exchange houses, right?
Yeah.
Exchange houses actually were pressurized by, maybe broker dealers, vast licensed players in the UAE when they offer the stable corridor with the partners on the designated country. In that case, you can push down the price in the exchanges. When you push down the price in exchanges, who is helping exchanges? I mean, at the end, it's a bank. So that means they will pressurize again to the bank.
Yeah.
When the corridor actually proved working, and then the C2C flow become B2B flow.
Right.
B2B flow become a B2G flow. So in that case, you will push back again, and the CBDC will be coming back.
So this is the last bit of the interview of the podcast, if you like, which I ask all the guests. It's 4 questions, rapid fire. So what's next for Michael?
Go beyond the banking.
What's next for Zand Bank?
Go beyond the banking as well.
Go. Okay, 3rd question. What's next for the industry?
Massive adoptions.
Massive adoption. The last one, you have to think about it. What's next for humanity?
Beautiful world.
Very good. Very good answers. Michael, thank you very much for appearing today.
Thank you so much.
I think it was a good session, and this is the next. And thank you very much.